Hi! Altars are a beautiful way to anchor our energy in a spot that we have consecrated for our connection with whatever it is you connect with. Whether you are someone like me who is praying to a divine source or my higher self, connecting with my guides and my angels and all of these spiritual realms, or if you're somebody who is connecting with archetypes or science or these other sort of more tangential spaces that feel more resonant with your path, wherever you're at in your assessment of reality, altars can really help anchor our energy and create an invitation, so to speak, to tap into a space of reverence and honor and deepening in whatever path you are walking. I think that altars are really kind of an art project, and the more we can invite our inner child to play, the more we feel kind of a luscious invitation to engage with the space. I think there is a place for seriousness, absolutely. I'm a serious person, even though I'm also really silly and ridiculous. I have a pretty strong stone of seriousness at my core, and I take this stuff seriously. And I think that and if you've ever met a child, or if you've ever been one, you know that they take life pretty seriously too. It's actually a sign of care and love to be able to drop in past the lightness and to honor the seriousness of this journey that we're on, however you make sense of it. So to kind of have a space that is a nice alchemy of play and fun, and also reverence and solemnity. As someone who typically does not really like rules of any kind, I do think there are suggestions that might be useful to keep in mind. And I will start with one of them, which is to be aware that whatever energy and pattern you do in a space kind of anchors over time. So if you always walk into the kitchen and turn on the light and, turn on the water and then get on your phone, let's say that's like boom, 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 that's always the thing that you do, then that's going to be kind of what the energy of the space prompts. It's what you both psychologically get accustomed to doing, and also if you're more of a metaphysical person, it's what the energy is sort of primed for. The altar space, then, we want to try and keep that space pretty pristine. If you're somebody who's coming to your altar to meditate, to pray, to connect, and enter into liminal spaces of consciousness, to read spiritual books or mathematical tomes, if you're going to be doing art, if you're going to be grieving or feeling, or whatever work you find yourself called to do that is psycho-spiritual of any kind, having a space that you only do that kind of work in really helps anchor that energy and that association. And I find the more I can honor that, and the more I can have a boundary around that space, both for my own patterns, so I don't sit at my altar and look at my phone, and I also don't really invite other people to sit at my altar. And that way, it's really consecrated for the work that I am intending to do there. So I think that that's a nice rule to practice and explore. And sometimes we have to learn the hard way. Honestly, there's been times where I've sort of been flippant and I said, sure, you can look at the stuff. And I mean, looking is one thing, but like touching and sitting and interacting. And then I go to sit and suddenly I have this other association that's kind of interfering with the cumulative energy of my own practice. So that's one thing. The second thing is to keep the altar space that you create both clean, fresh, keep it dusted, keep it energy cleaned if you're somebody who likes to cleanse. Also keeping it fresh, like not letting something become sort of, for lack of a better word in this moment, I'm sure there's a better word out there, kind of a dead space. So if you have a statue that kind of stops being meaningful to you, and it's just sort of this bland piece of decoration, take it out for a while. Replace it with something that is going to inspire you and touch into your interests, to your point of inspiration right now. So yeah, let it be a flow space that is reflecting and externalizing your inner process. And part of why I suggest that, there's many reasons, but the reason I'll share with you right now is because life, as you may have noticed, asks a lot of us, especially if you're really kind of in a very growthful life cycle. Every week can be like, what's the theme of the week? Like, oh, I'm going to resolve this entire childhood trauma, at least a little bit. Or I'm going to really look at my shadow in this area. And I'm also going to be looking at my ancestral work. And I'm going to be looking at my relationship to finances. It's like, there's a lot. Having a space that you can symbolically kind of literally, or you can anchor the associations and the symbols of your internal process can actually really simplify and help coalesce and keep these things at the ready, so that we don't necessarily get lost in the siege or the in the flowing eternal river of change. It can be nice to have a space that anchors what our intention is, and it can make it more accessible. Again, even as somebody who is super spiritually dedicated, sometimes I really have to motivate myself to sit my butt down and connect with my soul and my sense of the divine. And having an altar is like having a magnet that's like, come on, sit your booty down, like light that candle, light that incense, play the music, whatever it is that, floats your boat. Having an altar can really encourage this practice. And I think we all need that encouragement. A thing that I love about having an altar is that as you walk the earth and you have an altar space, things take on a little bit of a gift-like quality through synchronicity. So if you find a feather, notice, what are you thinking in that moment? What do feathers mean to you? Is that feather kind of, is it playing a symbolic role, whether you believe that is a part of, kind of God's hand giving you this gift, or if you're of a different ilk. Having an altar suddenly lets you see the world as a treasure trove, a beautiful unfolding little gift parade. A pine cone becomes a gift. It's really like activating that inner child sense again. I'll show you something on my altar that I recently made. It's a little silly looking, because it's a little silly, but it's really cute too. It's a little autumn tree made of twigs and leaves, all of which I found on the ground, and it made my walk just that much more engaging and magical. I think we as humans like to have handicrafts, and we like to have purpose, and we like to feel like we're foraging, and magical foraging is really, really delightful. Okay, well, I'm going to share with you the altar that I have currently set up, or I did. It's actually different now, because I recognize in myself a boundary in myself that I'm actually not really wanting to share my current altar publicly, because I want to keep that energy private. And I encourage you, if you feel that little, maybe that would be good, then do so. Your process is full of hidden wisdom that is speaking in those little nudges, those little intuitive, hey you. So, listen up to those still small voices and have fun. Okay, bye.
Take a look around your house. Likely you have an old scarf, maybe some flowers, a pretty jar. It doesn't need to be elaborate, and it certainly doesn't need to cost any money.
Let yourself play. Your inner child has a uniquely close relationship with your divine essence, and making the altar both a reverent space but also a space of playful creativity can really invite our innate connection with our God self.
On top of not needing to spend any money, you also don't need to know what you believe right now. Our beliefs shift over time, and because of that, we have cycles of confusion. Having a space that has things that speak to you means having a space that can honor you in moments of uncertainty. It's all worthy of reverence. And just like you, your altar can change. You can invite colors, stones, plants, toys, pictures of saints and ancestors and superheroes. All different material invoke different ways of connecting with spirit. Have fun. By blessing and placing each item with intention, you are anchoring an energy in that space which will support you in your endeavors to meditate, to pray, to connect more deeply with your sense and your relationship with life. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider liking and subscribing.